Hi, I'm Allison.
And I'm Galen.
And together, we're the Sail Bums. And this is a song we wrote called Heave To. Bring that stern around, dog those hatches down, lash your wheel and drag your keel through the stormy sea. Plow a calming path through the chaos and the wrath. The seas will break in your rolling wake, so gently off your beam. You'll never be a sailor with your feet on the shore. You'll never find peace of mind while you are at war. Your storm and chaos find you rolling in the blue. You will find a calm inside if you can heave to. When your life upturns and the waters start to churn, the wind will whip. Don't lose your grip when trouble comes your way. While the wild winds blow, get yourself below. Batten down, 'cause peace will be found despite the roaring sea. You'll never be a sailor with your feet on the shore. You'll never find peace of mind while you are at war. If storm and chaos find you rolling in the blue, you will find a calm inside if you can heave to. So find a stable base to balance and find grace. Your mind will ease, and by degrees the skies will clear once more. Every storm will pass, the skies will clear at last. Then make your way through a brand new day to find your course again. Never be a sailor with your feet on the shore. You'll never find peace of mind while you are at war. If storm and chaos find you rolling in the blue, you will find a calm inside if you can heave to. Hope you enjoyed our song.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ken Claiborne. I'm a member of the board of this congregation. I'd like to read our mission statement for you this morning. UUFE is a welcoming community, encouraging religious freedom, nurturing individual spiritual and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to April. My name is Amy Kaliza DeBeck, and it is my privilege and honor to serve the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart as your minister. I'm glad that you all are with us today. Some basic announcements around the life of our fellowship. Our little library is definitely turned into a pantry at this point. Several of you are dropping me notes and letting me know, hey, I've got canned goods for today and I dropped off some stuff inside, and we're going to keep our neighbors fed. So thank you on that. The board had a special meeting and voted to stay closed through April. They will keep apprising us as the CDC advises us. Phil is back home. He has pneumonia, but tested negative for COVID-19. To Phil and Janelle, our thoughts are with you, and I hope the recovery and the nursing goes very well. We continue to hold Carolyn Barnes in our hearts, and of course all of her family. Jim, we are with you as you take care of Carolyn. Please send love this week in whatever form, thoughts, notes, phone calls, to Sandy Imants. She lost her next door neighbor to the virus, and his widow was not allowed to be with him, and she is in her home alone, and Sandy is going to keep an eye on her, and we're all with you, Sandy. Jackie Lynn Zicki and her boss conspired to bring bread to UUFE, so multiple loaves have been given away to people in the neighborhood, and they're still available inside, and also Kevin and I have put a plastic container with a lid outside for people to help themselves. Please send a picture of you by this Wednesday. I know that I said you need to be wearing an Easter bonnet, but a smile would do. We'd really love to put together just a picture of everybody's faces for Easter. And the last thing I want to tell you in the life of our fellowship is that if you're having any problem with how to use your phone for a video call, or how to use your computer, or maybe somebody has given you a new device to use. If you're having any trouble, or you're trying to figure out how to get onto Zoom or Skype or anything, if you're having technical trouble and it's making you feel like you are disconnected, please call me. Please call me. I've listened multiple times in the last couple of weeks to both my husband and my son. Be very patient with some of you as they talk you through exactly what to do. And no one needs to feel disconnected if there's help, and there is. We ring the gong 3 times. Once for those who came before us and made a place for us. Once for those who are here now. Once for those who will come after us and build on the dream.
On this Palm Sunday, we light our chalice and hope that we may always remain a strong community, working together to make the world a better place. When we are grieving or sad, when we are challenged, when we need help, this flame guides us out of the darkness. When we are cheerful, when we celebrate, when we accomplish a great task, when we return to a place that makes us happy, the chalice reminds us to share our happiness with others. By Atticus Palmer.
This is the time in our covenantal religion when we remind each other of our highest aspirations on how we should be when we're together and when we're apart. I hope that you'll join me in the reading of our Unison Covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another, this is our covenant. Last week, Carl sent us a video of him singing "Come Sing a Song with Me" and playing on his guitar. And we liked it so much that we're offering it as a hymn for this week. So I hope that you'll sing along with Carl in this next piece.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, so I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, so I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, so I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, so I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Good morning. First of all, before I say anything, I need to thank Janelle Crump for putting this text together today for what I'll be saying. So thank you for her and the whole Stewardship Committee for doing what they've done to get us to this point, and especially to you folks for your contributions. Life is puzzling. I'm guessing most of us have figured that out. Because with our very limited knowledge and perspective, we must solve countless riddles, make endless numbers of life's decisions, and strive to understand, as best we can, how to live happy, healthy, kind, and responsible lives. Lives that make the world a better place. But life is puzzling. And so much of the time, the best we can do is just guess. The good news for members of UUFE is that we come together here with an entire beloved community of knowledge and perspective to help us navigate our individual and shared journeys. There are many ways that we support and nurture the individual and collective life journeys of our congregation, each of us contributing uniquely and, we hope, dependably. At this time of year, our Stewardship Committee is reminding us all of the unique fiscal part that we each play, that unique piece of the puzzle that each one of us sets in place to complete the viability of UUFE. The dollar goal is very important, and this year's goal is $99,000. It has been thoughtfully decided based on values and abilities of this congregation. And our participation goal is 100%. We are emphasizing participation in our pledging. There are 60 pledging units in our congregation. Each individual, couple, or family, depending on what they choose, is a unit and has historically made a pledge. So, there are 60 puzzle pieces that complete UUFE. Each time a pledge is made, one unique piece of the puzzle will be added to that puzzle. For example, as of March 15th, 13 pledges had been received. So we put the puzzle pieces into place at that, and on the 13th of March, or 15th of March, it looked like this. Since that date, and as of April 1, we now have 42 pledges received, so now the puzzle looks like this, and I'm going to put the 42nd piece in place. These 42 pledges represent $82,675, which is 84% of our dollar goal. 42 giving units represent 70% of our member units that have completed their pledge. We will update this weekly. Since we won't be here in person, pledges can be mailed to UUFE, emailed to Linda Gill, Chair of the Stewardship Committee, or email to Ken Claiborne, our treasurer. However received, each one will take their place in the UUFE puzzle. Remember, our goal is for every space to be filled, to be whole. In pledging to UUFE, we truly are giving to each other. We are helping to put the pieces of our individual and collective lives together. So, what piece of the puzzle are you?
Each week we take up an offering and we share it with an agency whose values are in line with our own. And we've been trying to put this worship together with a lot of constraints. We play a lot of music that YouTube doesn't like. So part of our offering today is my asking you, please send us offerings of you playing music to play during the time that people decide how they might give to UUFE and the agency with which we're sharing. And the address will appear on the bottom of this message, and you can just pull it up and give some money to Square, or you could write a check and send it to UUFE. This week our offering is for the Sustainability Fund here at UUFE, and beginning with next week, I'm going to get us back onto our regular schedule of sharing the offering with whatever agency we have in the schedule. Please know that when we do that, it depends on you, both offering some music to play during that time and also offering up some of your treasure. It is time for the morning offering.
Of compassion,
music is such an important part of our lives that musicians become like family to us. I've been holding in my heart all week John Prine, who is, just a really wonderful storyteller, singer, songwriter, and he has COVID-19 and is trying to get through it, and he also has cancer, so it's a tough road for his family. We heard this week that Bill Withers died. Bill Withers is famous for many things, but we know him best for Lean on Me. Now, we didn't know that this would be his time, so we used Lean on Me as our closing hymn last week. And this week, I invite you to sing along with Maeve with Lean on Me. We'll include the words again. And rest in peace, Bill Withers. And may we sing together, Lean on Me.
Call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
Our theme for April is liberation. While some may see this as ironic, liberation while we are ordered to stay home, I invite you to share the insights from a couple of men I know who understand liberation at deep levels, Joe and David. Liberation is the act of attaining freedom. While a person might have the experience of multiple freedoms, maybe even for their whole life, liberation speaks to a time when a freedom was taken away, requiring liberation to get it back. Or perhaps they never had a particular freedom and liberation was required to attain it. A feeling of liberation is a feeling of freedom that was won or granted. I came home last week. I had gone with Kevin and we'd filled up the pantry, which used to be a library, and we had gone out onto Main Street for our Close the Camps witness, and I wrote up my experience of meeting Joe. I want to share it with you now. We were on Main Street today when Joe walked up to us and asked which camps we meant. We answered the concentration camps on our southern border. He said, "Oh, those Mexican kids." I immediately asked how he is handling life in the pandemic. The day was cold and windy, and I felt concerned for this person who was most likely homeless. He said he has been sleeping outside for a year, and so there's not much change for him. I asked him where he stays at night, and he said, on the street. I asked if he had tried any of the shelters, and he calmly and rationally listed what each one required. Not what they offered, but what they required. Because Joe is a liberated man, not needing to answer to the productivity demands of other people who have privileges. Joe does not. I don't know his backstory, but I experienced him as being rational and having it together. When he explained that in order to stay at a place, one must attend church. At another place, they're not allowed to bring in outside belongings. Neither of these are things he's willing to do, so he sleeps outside. I need to interject that this was the moment in the conversation where afterwards, when we were discussing it, we realized Kevin's and my opinions had diverged. Two ministers listening to the same person. I, who had recently been just feeling kind of scared and uncertain, and I was having a pretty bad weekend regarding feeling closed in and worried for future. I put myself in Joe's shoes. I imagined being homeless, and I decided that his experience was not up to me to determine its truth. So I felt lament. Kevin has been really towing the line in so many areas that he's feeling pretty confident, and he had had a good weekend and helped me with my falling apart. And so he heard what Joe said as evidence that, like many unhomed people, that Joe has mental health issues, and Kevin expected to hear more conspiracy theories from him. Kevin felt pastoral. Going on with the actual experience, though, it was just really interesting that we were both there and had very different understandings of the interaction. Not unusual for any two humans. I asked Joe if there are buildings where squatters stay, and he said he guessed so, but it's nothing he's interested in. One problem he shared is that until April 6th, and this was a couple weeks ago, until April 6th, oh no, it was just last Sunday. Anyway, at the time that he shared this, he had already suffered without mail for a couple weeks, and now he was going to have to suffer more. The problem is that until the governor's quarantine ends, he cannot go to the place that agrees to let him use their address as his, so that he has an official address. Stay-at-home orders means that he's not been able to get to his postal service. He's not been able to get his own mail. The address belongs to the mother of a friend, and she is taking the isolation seriously. Excuse me. I wondered out loud if we couldn't have some kind of lockers out on the plaza where folks with no address could keep their stuff safely, and all they would have to carry was a key. He said that the best thing he heard of is having a field or a parking lot where people can pitch tents, and there's an officer keeping the peace and making sure that people can sleep safely in their tents with their stuff. This sounds reasonable to me. There are private companies, there are cities that have determined that certain parking lots are for people who live in their cars. A silence had fallen over us, and I looked at him and said, well, where do people shower when they don't have, a tent or an indoor place? And he said that there are shelters that will let you shower even if you're not going to stay there. However, and this is just according to him, one shelter place has shut off shower privileges, and it was the main one he went to, so he hasn't showered in 3 weeks. I asked, why would they do that during a pandemic? And he said it's to discourage people from coming there who have the virus. It's their way of flattening the curve. Also, according to Joe, he was at a shelter when a woman got really sick, and EMTs were called, and they told her that she had symptoms of COVID-19 and would need to come back to the hospital and get tested, and she refused. She would not get in the ambulance. She would not go with them. The shelter also refused her entrance back in. I asked Joe if he knew what had happened to her, and he looked right at me and said, I don't know where she is. Nobody knows where she is. Jackie was also there. Jackie and Kevin and I responded to him how sorry we are that things are so difficult. It was time for us to go, and although Joe had never hit us up for anything, I asked him, could you use $20? And he laughed. He was like, yeah, of course I could. So I gave him $20. We parted ways, and I have not stopped thinking about him all week. The social justice beliefs of UUFE concentrate on helping his plight and others like him. And that, of course, is going to happen. It will be ongoing. We'll look at many different things, and we will keep helping our neighbors in every way that we possibly can imagine. But we're also religious seekers, and there's different questions about existence. Our liberation theme takes us to the place of wondering, what does liberation mean to different people? Joe felt that his freedom would be compromised if he had to attend a church service or if he had to leave all of his belongings behind. Liberation would mean access to a place that didn't have those requirements. I admire that Joe had liberation on his mind. He even had 3 easy steps. A tent would be good. He said they don't allow tents. They get taken down and destroyed, sometimes with everything in them. I don't know who they are. So a tent would be good. In a place that it could just stay put, maybe a field, and a guard to keep the peace. What does liberation mean to you? Have you ever felt liberated, or have you ever been liberated? Freedom means being free, independent, having no restrictions. It can be physical or not. Liberation is the act of attaining those freedoms. So when you think about freedom and liberation, do you have memories from your own life, or do you have favorite stories of someone's freedom or liberation? The fight for justice is a constant struggle for liberation. Freedom is never promised, and it's often, even when attained, not sustainable. Working with your mind bent on liberation can be fulfilling. It will definitely never end. You'll definitely never run out of work if the struggle in your life is to attain justice for people. I found it very grounding that Joe's vision of liberation is a field of tents that include a guard, because he knows human nature and he feels safer with a guard. Real security and safety come with privacy, and his life does not include privacy. The only thing he has private is his mind. And his mind is liberated. Most of the time when people come up and talk to us on the street, whether or not there's been an exchange of money, most of the time I say at some point, "Would you like me to pray with you?" And most of the time they say, "That would be nice." I did not offer to pray with Joe at any point during our meeting. It felt to me like I wanted him to know that I really heard him. And if I offered a prayer, maybe I didn't really hear what he was saying. If I see him today, later on, when we're at the plaza, or another Sunday, I would really look forward to chatting with him again. I've been thinking about liberation all week, and there's a very specific quote that came to a modest amount of fame about 5 years ago. It got picked up by the UU World, it got picked up by some local papers, and it's about liberation. And so thinking about that has caused me to remember 5 years ago. It was exactly this month, actually, in Baltimore. Freddie Gray, an unarmed black man, had died in police custody, and the city responded. My friend, I met him up at Ferry Beach, my friend, the Reverend David Carl Olson, serves the historical Channing pulpit in Baltimore. His words that he wrote about during the chaotic and violent days that happened in Baltimore back then are profoundly applicable now. He laid out what Baltimore was like and how they came together, but at the end he really was able to sum up my feelings about liberation that I want to share with you. From the UU World article, April 29th, 2015, Reverend Olson says, "We need to be part of remaking the culture with accountability to the people who are marginalized and oppressed. We must work an accountable relationship that a repair may happen in this generation and in our nation's soul." He says, "Of course you're welcome to visit Baltimore. I'll try to keep things on our Facebook page letting you know what's up, but my mantra every day," he says, "as I walk these streets and then retire to my quite nice leafy neighborhood is, I have come because my liberation is bound with yours. May we work together?" And so I ask you, I stay home because my liberation is bound up with yours. May we continue to work together. Let us close with these words. From Laura Lynn Bellamy. If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they may come true. If you have known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Amen. Blessed be. Stay at home in peace.